Oh, we're here. We're here. Oh man. All right, so it's your boy, the Prophet. You know what I'm saying? Just know I'm on my high horse right now. This is about to be the best episode I've ever recorded because I'm gonna need my money.
You were right, Meech. You predicted perfectly who the master is to a T in our last episode. So apparently you wrote the episode and someone stole ideas from you.
I said I just need my money. Disney, run me my fade right now.
All right, so I'm Demetrius.
And I'm Demetrius.
And Meech presents
the Blurred City Podcast.
All right, so with the Acolyte, we are back up. The first 4 episodes, there was a lot of trash talk about this. We were slightly a part of it, not as egregious, but episode 5 dropped, which probably should have had its own recap emergency episode. But today we are recapping episode 5 and 6. We had to bring on a special guest, Dalton. Can you just tell your relation to Star Wars in general?
Yeah, I'm Dalton. Let's see. Well, I guess I've been watching ever since my eyes were open. So, seen all the movies. I think I've only missed one show that they've ever dropped. Yeah, no, Star Wars, my jam.
So let's jump into it. Hit us with the legal spiegel.
All right, the purpose of this podcast is to explore digital and print media. All sources we reference are owned by their respective companies, and our thoughts and opinions are strictly our own and reflect no biases or corporate agendas. Your discretion is advised.
All right, so again, we are recapping episodes 5 and 6 of The Acolyte. So with our recaps, we like to start with the pulse of the people. So that's before we get into just breaking down how people feel about the episodes recently, kind of just the general feel. Dalton, how have you been kind of feeling about the recent 2 episodes that came, and what are you hearing?
So I can say I think the recent 2, at least for me, I've seen a more positive reception compared to some of the first 4. Not exactly sure what y'all's opinions were on the first 4, but I think there was some very interesting avenues that they took with some things. Leave it at that. But I think now they're finally, I feel like it's almost becoming more Star Wars, which I think is a good thing. We'll go to, I'll reference my dad here. So when I talk to my dad about TV shows, I feel like he's kind of the normie crowd, and he's been enjoying it. So that's kind of where I think, that's kind of what I think, what I've heard from people.
Meech, what have you been hearing?
Oh, yes. All right. So episode 5, absolutely cooked. People are absolutely loving this episode. They love just actually when we get into it, you'll find out why it's perhaps my favorite episode so far. And then when we get to episode 6, people are kind of a little mixed on that one back again. I wonder why. But yeah, it's just hey, episode 5 was a high note, and then 6 was slightly lower, but not as egregious.
I feel like with 6, we definitely had to recharge after 5. And with it kind of reaching, by the time we record next time, it'll be the next 2, the final 2 episodes of the season. So once it started finally picking up steam, it's ending, which is crazy. But episode 5 got a lot of hype, a lot of positive reception for a lot of different reasons. So I think we can jump into the recap. And to start with, again, you were right, Meech. I said I thought 3. I had the over/under set at 3.5 Jedi being killed. You said 5. It was much more than all. So my notes are bodies. So we can jump into the recap of episode 5.
All right. So Night, also known as Slaughter. That's what I'm gonna call this episode from now on. Night of the Slaughter. So this episode is literally nothing but just straight hands, straight sabers getting thrown, and sabers getting deactivated because the master is out here cooking folks. He murking the Jedi fodder left and right. He's using his mask, which is made out of a material called cortosis, which if it strikes a lightsaber, the lightsaber deactivates for a little bit, catching the opponent off guard. He got a gauntlet made out of that same material, so he absolutely cooked them Jedi. I'm not gonna hold you. There's not literally there was a point where he stabs one, force pulls another one into a shish kebab. Come on now,
and then beheads the next one.
Yes, and then beheads all of them at the same time. Come on now, this man was saucy.
I had a question for you as someone that's part of a lightsaber guild. Were you counting the strikes?
Yes, I was 100%. I was already like, all right, let's see how in the world can I recreate this. Let me see how in the world can I do this in my choreography, because I'm about to, trust me, when my Sith costume gets done, it's wraps for the whole world. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. So, man, that was different. So, where would you two rank that lightsaber fight? Because it was extended throughout the whole episode, and I was like, man, when I first watched it, I was like, man, this might be the greatest lightsaber live action fight. But I had to pause, not be in the moment. I know, Anakin versus Obi-Wan was tough, both in the prequels and then also in kind of just like when he was actually Darth Vader.
Obi?
And yeah, so that went crazy, but that was so creative, like the Catorce's part, and how he just went about it. So how did Josh feel about that fight?
What you think, Dalton?
Let's see. I don't know. I'm kind of with you. Like, it was, I think it's probably the longest one we've had from like a single fight perspective. Because I think you could look at Revenge of the Sith and think like that whole lightsaber fight goes for like 20 minutes, but that's because it's going between like two different ones.
Mm-hmm.
I did like the variety of it was really cool. I originally I wasn't big on the hand-to-hand combat personally, because I was kind of like, I watched Star Wars to watch like laser swords, not like MMA.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what y'all think about that, but I think it's kind of grown on me in the sense of like, I think it did mix it up, and I think it is really cool. But for me personally, I think it's right behind the Revenge of the Sith, Anakin, Obi-Wan. The music, and it's probably just because it lives in my brain. I was probably like 5 when that thing came out, so just been watching ever since I was a lad.
Yeah, I definitely think this is at the very least top 5 in terms of lightsaber fights, just off just sheer carnage of it all. The choreography was done really well. Everyone had like their moment and their time to shine. If you were a named character, if you were fodder, then it was raps for you from the get-go.
There was one main character that did not have her time to shine.
Technically, he did for like 2 seconds, and then got packed up. But yeah, that was his moment. But in any case, yeah. So unless you were a named character, you were absolutely fodderized, and you didn't get a moment. You were there to die. But yeah, as I said, like all the interactions, like how it was going about, was actually really incredible. Definitely top 5. I'll probably have to like wait a little bit just to see like, all right, where do I personally place it in my lightsaber fights? But yeah, as of right now, top 5. Because Obi-Wan is still number 1. It's always going to be number 1. There ain't no way. But yeah.
All right, so just like recapping the story, so we see the Master obliterating people completely, and then they're like, hey, they start to figure out what's happening. Soul and the Master have a one-on-one, which went crazy as well. So at this time, he still has his shark biker helmet on, which looks really tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. So they realize, okay, we got to get his helmet off. It's like he's also getting in our brains, and it's like partially using it so Soul won't get in his brain. So we learn more about the mask in episode 6, which we'll get to. But we also see Jackie and May, which again goes to my complaints about May. May was literally about to turn herself in the previous episode, and then all of a sudden she was like, no, I think I'm good. I don't understand May's character at all. But with that, Jackie tries to kind of get into May, and then the Master / Stranger goes up against, sees May, and is like, yo, you turned on me, I gotta take you out. And Jackie protects her, and I gotta give it to Jackie. Jackie went crazy in this episode. I know she got packed up. She went crazy. She was like, other than Soul, who is literally a Jedi Master, she had the best like fighting with the Stranger. Yeah. So with that, ultimately she takes his helmet off, and it goes back to what you mentioned, Meech, if you want to take it from there.
Oh yeah, so as I said, like that fight was absolutely incredible. The dual wielding, and then absolutely getting, and then the JJKing happened between Soul, Jackie, and Stranger. But then as soon as she took his mask off, yep, it was wraps for her, because he decided to say, oh yeah, you know what's special about my lightsaber? It becomes 2. All right, and then just gives that 3-point the Predator treatment. Oh, right through the chest, as revealed. the master, where give me my money, it's Kamir.
Dude, he had the coldest line. He was like, "You killed Jackie," and it's like, "Was that
You brought her.
name?" Yes, that.
No, he said you brought her here. I'm like,
Dude, he called her an it. I was like, that's disrespectful. Because she put up a good fight compared to everyone else. So also Osha at this time is being led away by Nord. And it calls back to the previous episode where these bug monsters are attracted to light and, possessing a lightsaber, which ties in towards the end. So we can proceed from there.
Yep. And so from there, Soul and Kamir, they're having a bout, and of course, like Soul's like casually like, hey, who or what are you? And this is where Kamir's like, hey, I'm no Jedi, but you Jedi would like to call me Sith, which I just like, that theory time. All right. So that leads to one of two thoughts, but it's one that's kind of slightly more likely in my case. But I'll say that when we get to like the questions and theories portions. But when it comes to that, like they're having their bout, they're still fighting it out, and of course, like May is running for her life, and then Osha and Yord, they manage to get back just in time to where Osha finally pulls the trigger on her sister to KO her. And at the same time, Yord, he grabbed the master's helmet, Kamir's helmet, managed to deactivate Kamir's lightsaber, but unfortunately got put in the pack 2 in the most brutal way you've seen in Star Wars, which is a whole full neck snap. Brother got taken out in the worst way. Golly.
Did that shock you, Dalton? Like when the 2 apprentices got taken out?
I don't know. Like, I kind of, like, I don't know. I didn't think they'd murk him on, to be honest with you. Like, I did not think that it would just be like one man left standing kind of thing. Like, but then as the fights like went on, I was kind of like, I think something's got to happen. Like like you said, like earlier, they're elongating the episode. I'm like, there's no way they walk away. Something's got to give. And then, well, their neck gave, and then there's a big cavity in their chest.
When Jackie was paired up with the master, I was like, she about to get like washed completely, not even a competition. And she was going in until she got cheated. And then Nord, I was like, okay, he's going to put up a fight. And he got the Friday the 13th treatment. So
that man folded like a lawn chair out there.
That was bad. And I literally put in my notes, Osha isn't locked in because she is playing around too much in this episode while May was running. But essentially with that, after Nord dies, Soul and the Master again get a chance to have one-on-one. He disarms him, and then he pulls his lightsaber. And then this is kind of where I love how he starts messing with him, where it's like, oh, you pulling your lightsaber on someone that doesn't have a weapon. Then like he put the lightsaber to his neck, and he was like, oh, so you're really gonna kill me? And this is where I wrote, Osha isn't locked in. It's just like, don't do it. I'm like, what are we doing? And then I don't know why she's trying to save her sister, who is still trying to kill her. So when we transition to the next part, well, essentially because Soul is, I don't want to say a slave to the Jedi way, but like he's a following of the Jedi way, doesn't want to fall to the dark side. He's like, okay, I'm gonna just leave you be, essentially. But with that, Osha recognizes again the bugs. They're starting to wake up, so she attaches Pip to the Master. The bugs take him away, and I'm like, this dude is not dying because of bugs. Who are you fooling? But yeah,
I was gonna say like, yeah, that's like a Disney type death. Like, nah, we don't see the body. Nah, he making it out of there. But yeah, now we get to they're like running away from the whole situation. Like Osha was chasing May, and then they run into each other like in the mountains. I don't know how they got to the mountains, but yeah, essentially at this point, like Osha's like confronting May's like, hey, what have you done? You've been like killing all these Jedi, and May's like, I did it for us, and like I did it for like I'm doing this for family, and with that, it's like, and like Osha's like, nah, you doing this for yourself, like you got all these people killed. But then she's like, nah, the Jedi got what they deserve. Don't you start turning against me. I'm like,
brainwashed you.
Yeah, you got brainwashed. Like, don't turn against me. I'm like, hold on, that's what Anakin said to Padme. Hold on.
And just like what happened to Padme, she got hit with the Force, and well, unlike Padme, she actually lived. Osha actually lived. But
Yeah, so essentially they were hugging in an embrace, and then Osha like, you know what? Nah, you're under arrest. And May's like, man, what is you doing? Man, get this force push. You never knew how to block, girl. And
a good callback to the most controversial episode.
All right, you never really learned how to block. And then she grabbed, I forgot it was probably a fodder Jedi's like,
it was like a yellow one. I can't remember. Maybe it was
maybe yours.
Yeah.
It might have been yours. It might have been a fodder one. But either way, she grabbed a yellow lightsaber, put it up to her neck. I'm like, what is you doing? And then cuts off her lock so that way she has the exact same hairstyle as Osha, and then swaps places with her, exchange clothes. She left on the ground, and she goes with the soul, who's like, Osha, I'm so sorry. Let's leave. I'll explain everything. They're in an embrace, and then they leave. But then we got my boy, the goat, out here slaughtering them bugs. He walks up, he finds Osha in May's outfit. He's like, puts the cloak on her. Looks like he force heals her.
Yes.
Looks like he force heals her. And like, I forgot like what his exact quote was in that moment, but
it was essentially like opportunity or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But he takes essentially like, hey, he tends to her. And like that was how the episode ends. You're like, yo.
So in my notes, I have the Jedi are sorry. That's pathetic.
Trash.
That's awful. You had like 8 to 10 people that all got washed by him. I know the stuff are abiding by different rules. Come on, what are we talking about? That's pathetic. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about the horrible Jedi.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I found it funny that Jackie was basically doing her Ahsoka Tano arc right there. You know, she's probably the greatest Padawan we've seen, probably on TV, like legitimately, other than her. And then, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's weird to me. I feel like it's crazy when, I guess, watching even like the Clone Wars TV show, you see just the quality of them, and then you watch this, and it's like, man, it's like these guys don't even know how to swing. Like, they don't practice at all, or like they're not in combat, because it's like, like it's like the Master, he pulled out like that Force Unleashed move where he just like shoots the Force all the way around and they're flying away, kind of thing. And then I don't know, like it really did seem like there's like it's almost like there's like a power gap or something for some reason.
Yeah, training art.
Yeah, and this is crazy considering that, hey, this is High Republic era, aka the Jedi were supposed to be at the height of their power, yet they get folded like lawn chairs. But also, again, they haven't encountered a Sith in like millennia, so they probably definitely didn't. No, actually, no, screw that, because they definitely would have been like practicing with each other. Nah.
But they probably weren't trying to kill each other. So
man, it's
the difference when you're training with your life on the line. But with that one important thing, when the stranger, Khmer, the Master is fighting Soul, it's hinted strongly at that they have a past together, and that the stranger was potentially Soul's Padawan in the past before getting rejected, which kind of leads into episode 6, where we now have a new thirst trap in Star Wars, shamelessly. They got rid of Nord, and they were like, give it Khmer. They were like, the arms. That was episode 5, a teaser. And then in episode 6, they were like, they were egregious about it. They were shameless. So
have you ever seen the audio description of that? Like that scene where they're like stepping in the water? Nah, so like I saw a clip. It was just like the craziest description out there of like like describing what's happening on the screen.
Yeah, Osha was mesmerized by a lot.
She got the full picture.
No, if you actually watched her eyes, particularly when he comes back, her eyes flick down for a second.
That's why I'm saying she got the full picture.
He was shameless.
Yeah, she saw the high tower and was like, man.
Like, what's this feeling right now?
So many jokes I can't make.
No, you cannot. You cannot. Actually, technically, I cannot either.
So with that, We find out that she's on the planet where, I'm gonna just call him Kamir, where Kamir was talking to May earlier in like episode 1, I believe, kind of like an island-esque planet on it. So she takes his lightsaber, and I'm like, he knows you're there. Like he like is attuned with the Force. Like that's the thing about the Force. That's like the way it's written sometimes. Like even when May initially went with Soul, and I was like, Soul should know that you aren't Osha. Like just because of like his sense of Force. Like even Kamir, like in the earlier episodes, immediately knew Osha wasn't May. Like in episode two, I believe. So like with that, I was like, he knows for sure you're there. So he was like, hey, if you're not going to attack me, can I, put my clothes back on? And she carefully watched him do it. So with that, he just kind of like talks to her. And then we see on the opposite side, May is now pretending to be Osha, and she's with Master Soul. They send out a distress signal, which goes to Venestra, who we're going to have a conversation about her later, Meech, but she and another Jedi then go to Kofar.
You mean Jedi fodder? Number 8,000. So yeah, essentially like from there, right? So and then it cuts again back to like Osha and Kamir, where he's like, hey, what's up with you? It's like, are you a Jedi or are you not? And it's like, of course, they having like a back and forth because she's saying like, hey, who are you? Like, what? Like, why are you doing all this? And it's like, hey, I used to be part of the Jedi long ago. It's like, how far back? Because like we could have been trained together. And like, nah, it was a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. But and yeah, and then you see like on his back there are scars. And that leads into another thing. Again, we're gonna talk about Vernestra later, but
yes, please. But just like something with that, she's like, how are you so strong? What do you know about the Force? And it's like, he says like not deep, but below the surface of consciousness is emotions.
Yes.
And then like with that, she's like, but that leads to the dark side. And he's like, that's semantics essentially. But
yeah, like that's how the Jedi view it.
Which is interesting, like with the Force, because if we go back to episode 3, I believe, when they were talking about the thread, and like with people being so mad. So like with the way the Force is explained, it's always explained through 2 lenses, where it's like the Jedi and then through the Sith. And then it's like dark side, light side. And it's like, don't call it anything else. It's just the Force. If you do this, XYZ, if you use lightning, you're using the dark side of the Force. If you don't use like Force choking, you're good Force, don't have attachments like we even talked about and stuff like that. So like viewing it from like a different lens is interesting. I know like people get very mad about when you start changing canon, which this whole show has been doing. So, but I do think that's very interesting, like Kamir's perspective on it.
Yeah, Dalton. Yeah, like any thoughts on like how the Force has been portrayed in these past few episodes?
I got kind of been doing it ever since Disney took it, honestly. Like I won't make this part on, but it's just kind of like I feel like it's almost like we've watched Star Wars for so long, and I get that like they're trying to put new things into it to kind of keep it interesting, but it always throws me off when they're putting in all these new things in the past, like the Cortosis armor. Like, don't get me wrong, like that's super dope. But at the same time, I'm like, so you're telling me at any point in the future we don't see it again?
There's a good explanation why. There's a good explanation why.
And like, so there's that. Like Force healing. I've always been like, so you're telling me like y'all created this, and then Darth Vader could have never been existed because he could have just healed Padme, like, like that kind of thing. I just feel like they're always like, I get why they do it, but then sometimes I'm kind of like, it messes with the canon that people complain about, and it's like, well, why didn't we do this? I mean, it's made plenty of memes and stuff. My dad loves showing it to me, but I think it's interesting though. And I did like kind of like he dove into like the difference of there's the emotions like with the helmet thing, and then kind of how the different perceptions of it. And I think that's been neat, especially throughout some recent shows of you see all how different people kind of view the Force. And I think that's cool in a sense of what it can be, because it's not so black and white. It's kind of cool how there's like a gray area between. And I think that's cool because ultimately people can view it in different ways and use it in different ways.
Too bad Luke didn't know that when he met Kylo Ren. So
exactly.
Oh, so Meech, why isn't Cortosis used later on?
Yeah, so the thing about cortosis is that, as you see in like episode 5, is that it's actually really brittle, and actually, like, it was explained in a novel that like Palpatine was like going to like find like one of the cortosis minds to use it in trooper armor and like armor, but Anakin and Thrawn ends up like destroying the entire mine. So there's no more cortosis.
Was this Anakin before he was Vader, or?
Yes, it's before he Vadered out. It was during the Clone Wars.
Okay, dope. All right, so that's a good explanation. So with that, yeah, I think kind of just to your point, Dalton, I think, obviously George Lucas being the creator and mind behind it, like he has his idea of the Force, and then, giving it to Disney and letting so many other people get their hands on it. So now the Force means something different to everyone else. And then it's like, oh, how can we portray this in such a cool way? I'll use it to Force heal. I'll use it to, XYZ. So that's definitely interesting to get to. So kind of just leading into it, eventually Soul realizes that May is pretending to be Osha, but our boy, what's his name? Basil.
Basil.
Basil from the start. Just sniffs him out.
The nose knows, my guy. The nose knows.
So Vernestra and her lackey. Oh, yes. They both go to is it Kofar, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So they go to Kofar, they see the slaughter, and they like, oh, did Soul potentially do this? So she sees like kind of what's going on. We also see the hint at the bureaucracy going on with the Senate and the High Council of the Jedi. As I love to say, bureaucracy is the enemy of progress. So I think this kind of starts to lead to the fall of the Jedi. But essentially, May tries to take out Soul, but then once the distress signal comes back out, he's like, I wonder how he figured it out. Because I was like, how did he like not know initially, and then eventually he knew? Because it wasn't like an interaction thing where he was like, oh, I know that's not Osha now. So he
probably I read the hesitation. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was thinking like, okay, maybe like you've had some time to like, recover a bit, because, Kamir was actually was in his head.
And he was in shock from literally everyone dying.
Yeah, so like
battle, yeah.
Yeah, so like he had like at least some time to get himself together, and was like, hold on, nah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so kind of just with that, Soul knows the episode wraps up with him essentially tying up May and then being like, yo, I've been waiting 16 years to talk to you, say something, I'm gonna tell the story. So hopefully in episode 7, they actually go into what actually happened, because we talked earlier, Dalton, Meech and I, about episode 3, where it's like, we don't think what we saw is truly the full picture of what happened on their home planet. So that kind of just like wraps up that storyline. We see Vanessa pull out her purple lightsaber whip. I think when we get to predictions, and like the past and the theories, how she might be whipping on minorities. Also, we see the stranger. He wants the power of 2. Osha specifically asks what he wants, and he wants the power of 2, which is very interesting and something that's been hinted at a lot. And yeah, we do see the scar. So initially, I thought it was like, Soul stabbing him in the back, but I'm interested to hear your prediction, Meech. And then we learned that the Cortorsis helmet is a sensory deprivation helmet, and so it's this you and the Force locking in. And we end the episode with Osha putting on the helmet, and we see like what she sees. It's literally like a thin line that you can barely see anything out of. So the fact that Kamir beat all those Jedi while wearing that is, again, the Jedi are pathetic. Slaughter. So I think it's really hinting at that Osha might be the future Acolyte. Or maybe someone else is, the master above Kamir and he's the apprentice. So that's definitely interesting. I just don't know like the lineage of Sith before we get to Palpatine. So I don't know what Osha would technically be if she is a Sith eventually.
Yeah. It's definitely like one of those cases. Like, again, this is like 100 years prior. So we have a slight idea on like who like who's master, but it's like, is this the same person, or is this like a case of, you know, just going back and going back, or like, is this like another offshoot or off branch? But it goes into my theory in a little while.
Yeah, so with that, unless there's anything to say about these 2 episodes, we can get into our MVP or op of the week.
Oh,
All right, so for my MVP of the week, I'm going to give an honorable mention because this person died. But Jackie, she gained a lot of respect for me. I was kind of down on the character, but when she was going toe-to-toe, and I mean like going toe-to-toe with Kamir, I was like, yo, this is insane. I did not think she died. That actually caught me off guard. I was sad. I was like, yo, we could have needed you later on. But she's honorable mention. The op of the week has to be Kamir. I mean, that's the slaughter of the night, as you mentioned, Mitch, and providing us with some of the best choreographed lightsaber fights I have ever seen. So.
Oh yeah, no, my MVP of the week is Kamir. I'm not gonna lie to you. He is him. He is the one. And the fact that this man, like he's spitting, and one thing I know is like, at least from the way he speaks, it's like he never technically lied about anything, at least as far as we can tell. Like he may like omit some details. He may not like outright answer your question, but he just say like, yeah, I was formerly a Jedi. And then like his interaction with Osha when she had the lightsaber to the man's throat, it's like, why are you not a Jedi? He knows exactly what to say to get right in your head. He employs that Doom Mach like crazy. He's like,
now wait a minute. I gave Homelander MVP of the week in our boys review, and you were like, I can't do that.
Yeah, because it's forever smoke with Homelander. Forever smoke. Look, Homelander. Okay. Kamir, he slaughtered a bunch of Jedi, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? The Jedi deserve it, all right. But for being complacent all these years. But in the case of Homelander, he's just slaughtering innocent people, all right.
I was specifically talking about the episode where he did what he did with certain people in the offices.
Nah. See, they may have created the man, but
Yeah, get that on them.
yeah, but again, they deserved it.
Yes, they deserve it.
They don't deserve it. They deserve it, but they still have families.
You don't think the Jedi can't have families, right? That's fair. The Jedi aren't a family. The Jedi are a family. All right, Dalton, do you have an MVP of the week?
I mean, I gotta go with Jackie, honestly. That was like I think issue between everything going on. I mean, she like went from fighting with one lightsaber to 2 and then back to 1. And I think like it's kind of crazy, like the power she like kind of like her power level, I guess, with where she was in her training. And I would say her, even though she died, you know, R.I.P. I think had she had a couple more years, she'd probably more extend Loki.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so now we're going to get into our big questions of the week. These necessarily don't have to relate to the episodes that we just watched or reviewing. You can relate to the future, outside of it, canon. So what have you guys got?
Let's see. So one of my coworkers, one thing he's been kind of wondering, and I'm curious what y'all think. He has a good thing thinking that Saul is like the master, or like Soul is, and then Kamir is like his, like I guess his pupil, you know. And it almost seems like there's something up with Saul. Like I don't think he is Sith or anything, but I think that's kind of like an interesting question. As like there's just something like off about him, and maybe it's just like all the guilt he feels maybe from something he did in the past, but it does seem kind of like there's some relationship between him and Kamir, and then like I don't know, like there's something there more than just like, oh yeah, I know you, like kind of thing.
Yeah, I think Soul and the Jedi slaughtered the witches, and that's what he's holding on to. That piece of darkness. I don't know how that ties into Kamir though, but I have seen that theory that Soul is the real master, and that Kamir is like his younger apprentice. So I'm interested. I don't know if that is, because I'm thinking either, probably not May at this point, but either Osha or Soul are definitely teaming up with the Stranger to end the season.
Absolutely. And then like Another thing I saw is like I believe it was in episode 5. They played like the Kylo Ren like soundtrack or something.
That was
Like
about to be
like
my
oh yeah.
that was about to be one of my main theories, but you can talk about it. Talk about it.
I don't know. I don't want to steal your thunder, but like it's just kind of like I saw that too, and to be honest, I didn't even realize it till like I saw it. Um, and it just kind of makes you think like I wonder what like I really wonder like what that's going to lead to. And if you have more thoughts on it, like go ahead.
Yeah, so my main theory is like, well, one of my main theories is like, okay, so Kylo Ren, he says like the Jedi may call me Sith. He never outright says he's a Sith. And again, with the Kylo Ren theme playing in the background, plus the fact Kamir wears a helmet, makes me think like, is Kamir kind of like either the beginning or like a member of the Knights of Ren from the sequel trilogy? Just from like those main aspects alone as of right now, yeah, it's like, okay, he wields a red lightsaber, so he definitely led the kyber crystal, but it also could be that, like, again, from the Knights of Ren, like whoever took that lightsaber from the previous Ren would be the Ren, the next Ren, kind of like the dark saber situation. So either way, like it could be either like he's acting a full blown Sith and he's not like saying it, or he could be a Knight of Ren.
Any other questions you have, Mitch?
Oh yeah, Vernestra, come on here, bring that here. We talking about you right now, cause you and that whip,
Overseer Vanessa.
Overseer Vernestra, crazy. But yeah, I'm just like, you have a whip, and earlier in the episode, you saw Kamir's back, and it's filled with scars. Number one, were you Kamir's master? And if so, why in the world does he have scarring on his back that look like whip scars? And as Black people, we know what whip scars look like.
But also think about it. Vernestra this entire time has been like, yo, don't tell the High Council. Don't tell the High Council because in the Senate. Don't tell the High Council. We can't get involved. Keep this quiet. Keep this quiet. So that's interesting.
So you're saying she's like Richard Nixon out there, you know, don't try to have like a whistleblower come out here, huh?
So, yeah.
Yep. So there's you got some explaining to do, Vernestra. You got some explaining to do. You might actually be the true opt.
Well, I mean, there's nothing left but minorities. So if she pulls out that whip, she's whipping on minority.
Wait, hold on. Let's see. We got Ocean May.
We got Thol. We got Mir.
Oh my.
Well, hold on. We got her lackey. Remember, that's like 4 IQ.
The lackey is part of the majority. And he on her side.
So we're on to Vanessa.
Dang, hold on.
I thought it was criminal how her lightsaber was purple too. I'm like, man, they really just like dragging Mace Windu through the dirt right here, huh?
Embracing the dark side. All right, so my questions is Yoda's a Jedi on the High Council at this time, right?
He's definitely at least there. He's at least there.
I wonder if we get a possible appearance since he exists in this at this time. That's kind of like, I don't know.
Oh, I was just saying, I feel like they're gonna low key avoid that because I don't know how many people like actually want that. I mean, we all saw how upset people were with that whole Kiadi Mundi thing. I don't know if I talked about that, but
we talked about it a lot.
I thought that was kind of rogue how they just like legit just changed his birthday to make him like. I was like,
it's funny. I didn't know that was at first, and I was like, I called him a thumb from Spy Kids. People weren't happy.
That's good when he does a thumb.
So yeah, they did change that, and people weren't happy as usual. So maybe you're right about that. And then another question I'll have is just like, is episode 7 finally when we learn what actually happened? What are you hiding, Soul? I really hope they don't wait till 8 to reveal it. So unless there's any other questions, we can get into predictions and big picture view.
Yep, we can go ahead and move on.
Yep.
All right. So as for big predictions of the week, at least for me, right? Main predictions are like, hey, is OSHA basically like, are they going to kind of like do a reverse situation where it's like, okay, we started with May being the Acolyte and OSHA being good, and we're going to flip it to have May turn good and then OSHA be the bad one? but I don't know if that's actually going to happen. That might be more of a question. But in terms of like actual predictions, we're going to see Osha kind of regain her force, her attunement to the force, primarily through either the training of Kamir or just guidance of him, especially with the sensory deprivation mask. Yep, teach/corrupt. And then also when it comes to Vernestra, just like, hey, like, another big provision for Soul is like the location where in the world he's heading to. And I think he might be going back to Brendock, to where it all begins at. And we might actually fully get that explanation for that in the next episode.
Dalton? I don't know. For some reason, I got a weird feeling at the end of all this, like, oh, it's just going to be like the last one standing of the kind of like 4 people that we're going to say are like the main that are left. I got some feeling she's going to be the last one. And like, maybe she'll like pick up that mantle of like the Rin mantle, like we kind of talked about. Like, I don't know. I think that duality that you mentioned me is just going to switch, where like she may become the bad one and may become like pseudo good anti-hero kind of thing. And like, I don't know. That's kind of my thought. Is I think something's going to give in that regard.
Well, they've kind of hinted at it, but I think potentially we'll find out that Soul or one of the Jedi that were on Brendock manipulated one of the 2 kids with that and caused something, because May has been steadily saying brainwashing. I mean, we kind of understand that it's like, oh, she's acting against me, but I do think that's something weird happened that they haven't revealed yet. But since you 2 have saying they're flipped, I've thought about it. I think that Osha kills May by accident, and then Kamira's like puts his arm around her and is like, come with me with that, because throughout the entire series, Osha has like, they've hinted that she's like, oh, you experience pain, but you suppress it. You know, you feel lost and stuff like that. You left the Jedi, even in episode 6, where it's like, why aren't you a Jedi? And it's like, they essentially kicked me out because, you know, I feel this stuff. And it's like, it's not good to have that in order to be a Jedi. So I feel like she hits a breaking point in a sense.
Potentially, yeah.
All right, so with that, we are wrapping up. Since we're not doing a main episode this week, we are taking off because of the 4th of July. We don't want to record any further this weekend, so we want to enjoy it. But quick, what's hot? So that's what's cool in anime, movies, television, TV shows, gaming, comics, manga. So what do you guys got?
Well, I don't know. I was kind of hyped low key to see like Demon Slayer's gonna get like a movie trilogy, like low key. Like, I think like those 2 movies are gonna bang. Like, I like know the arc, and I think that's gonna be killer. And yeah, I don't know what y'all think about that, but
I only have one word: Zenitsu.
Absolutely.
My only concern is that if they were to have done it as like a series to kind of wrap it up, it probably finishes 2025. The fact that they're doing a movie trilogy, I'm getting Attack on Titan vibes, and it might wrap up in 2027.
I don't know. I think like, could be wrong, but I think this is like what this studio works on. So they may like animate audio, this whole thing, and then just kind of like chop it up. You know, they may just like, okay, we're done, like keep this going kind of thing. And that way it's already in the queue so they can move on to other projects. That's kind of my thought.
Definitely been preparing for it, because like literally the past 2-3 seasons have like, oh, let's start with a movie and then let's have the show. So ever since like Mugen Train.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys?
I know like one thing that is happening is like, I don't know if you heard, like they're, you know, Raw is gonna be uncut and uncensored on Netflix.
Yeah.
So well, I know some people who are about to re-up their Netflix subscription or password
workaround.
Yep, password workaround with everybody else. As far as what else is happening in the pipeline, you know, there's Sparking Zero. I'm always gonna sing my praises of that game because as soon as it comes out, y'all never gonna see me again. Especially considering the fact of what's gonna happen like later in the month of October with Venom: The Last Dance,
The Ascension,
and then The Ascension, which is which for those of you who don't know, so in San Antonio, there's a convention called SpaceCon, and pretty much a lot of the Star Wars actors are going to be there. Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, Rosario Dawson, Giancarlo Esposito, Ming-Na Wen, Katie Sackhoff, Ray Park, Ahmed Best, and then they just confirmed that the actress who plays Sabine Wren in Ahsoka gonna be there too. So yeah, the ascension might happen with me, because I already spent too much money as it is, just getting tickets and making the VIP treatment. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just yeah, y'all may never see me again after October. I may have ascended.
Yeah, so with me, the only thing that I really have why we're doing what's hot, because Cobra Kai trailer drop, so season 6 part 1. So July 18th. That's why I'm saying, since we were going to have a main episode Wednesday, we couldn't tell people about the greatness of Cobra Kai. I literally remember watching season 1 of Cobra Kai on YouTube Red, because I had a free like 7-day subscription and watching it. And the fact that it got this big is insane to me. So
Right, it's like my dad's favorite show. That dude like swears by that thing. Like when that new show comes out, we don't see him for 24 hours. Like for some reason, that is the one show that man will sit down, watch it all the way through, nothing else. Like he's just in the zone, locked in.
well, they're splitting it into parts. I don't know how many. I just know that part 1 drops July 18th. So excited for that. So with that, we can wrap up plugs and get up out of here.
All right, so we got our Instagram, my X, formerly known as Twitter, and our Threads account under Blur City 22. Hit the like, follow us, bell for notifications, stay up to date on our release schedules. We also have our Discord linked in said Instagram page if you want to join this fine community of pure degeneracy and memes and all that good jazz. We also have our YouTube and our Patreon under Blurred City Pod. If you want to donate even at as little as $1 to the Patreon, you can get access to exclusive episodes that have not been seen beforehand on this podcast ever. Then after that, we have ourselves our email address, blurredcity22@gmail.com. If you want to submit, like, let's say, random fan theories, your thoughts and reviews on The Acolyte or The Boys, which we also review on this show, you can also send in, Geek Out Freak Out's episode suggestions and even just potential criticisms that you have against the show, which if you do so, it only gets sent straight to the spam email, never to be read or see the light of day ever. So good luck. And finally, I am the Jedi Born on Mustafar on Instagram and potentially TikTok as well, if TikTok hasn't been shut down by now. So yeah, that's all I got. What y'all have?
Do you have any plugs, Dalton?
No, not really. I just have a private Twitter X that I use just for my own news, nerdy stuff. So not really.
So with that also, Meech, we are in our Deadpool and Wolverine month. So our last week we dropped a fix of X-Men Origins Wolverine with a deconstruction, reconstruction, rebuilding that movie we had to rebuild it from scratch essentially. Next week, we are going to have a Wolverine character study, followed by a Deadpool character study. And then finally, the last week of July, we are going to have Deadpool and Wolverine movie review, which we're super excited for. Also, big announcement, we have merch coming soon that's still in the pipeline. So with my individual author pages, we have my Instagram, Metri_Dash, that is METRI_DASH. For my X/Twitter, that is @theMad-16. And if you're interested in my book, Phantom Reckoning, A Most Irregular Tale, that is available on Amazon and Kindle and Barnes & Noble. So with that, let's get up out of here. Like we always say, it's not goodbye forever. It's just goodbye for now. And that's the Blur City Podcast.
See ya later.